Federal High Court sitting in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, has restrained the PDP from taking any disciplinary action against some chieftains of the party in the southwest.
Now, this is following the lingering crisis in the zone. The interlocutory injunction specifically restrains the PDP, the chairman of the National Caretaker Committee, and the secretary from taking any disciplinary action against the plaintiffs and other leaders of the PDP in the southwest zone. The chieftains include the senator representing Ogun East Senatorial District, Buruji Kashamu, the immediate past national secretary, Wale Oladipo, the immediate past national auditor, Adewale Adeyanju, and others. Well, joining us is a PDP chieftain, Prince Segun Seriki. Good morning to you, Prince, and welcome to the show. You are here again, to talk about the crisis in the southwestern region of the party. And it seems that it's become a lingering problem that might not go away before 2019.
Well, thank you very much. I think I'm embarrassed, really, having to say same thing all over and all over again. It's quite painful that we are in a country where the leadership derives joy in being lawless, and I think it's the responsibility of the people to rise up to the challenge of fighting for their rights, so that we'll make our leaders to see the dignity in being lawful and the honor in adhering to court pronouncements. The problem in Southwest is ironic. It's ironic for a National Caretaker Committee that supposedly was certified by a Supreme Court judgment to turn around and become allergic to court processes and become so obstinate to obeying elementary orders of court, other than having a field day to trample on the rights of our party members and manipulate the process towards a predetermined destination. You will appreciate that when there was a tussle, because a lot of people came on talking about the tussle between Sheriff and McCarthy. It isn't actually so. Some of us that were supporting Sheriff were actually supporting due process and obedience to court pronouncements. But having said all those ones and the Supreme Court now decided, there was no basis for a caretaker committee to now arrogate to itself the full rights of our National Working Committee and start dissolving existing state executives so that they can now put their surrogates there or their allies there or those who supported them during a purported battle with somebody else. That is actually the issue. It is now compounded by now trying and threatening to discipline those of us who supported those who are fighting for their rights. Like Senator Kashamu is not a member of the ESCO in Ogun State. Yours truly, I'm not a member of the ESCO in Ogun State. I am covered by that court order that you have just mentioned from Ado-Ekiti, which forbids them from doing anything to us. But the issue is, once we get to hold this level, that is the unfortunate part of the thing, because prior to this, there has been a judgment of court subsisting and still valid, that the ESCO in Ogun State is sacrosanct. They should not dissolve it. They should not tamper with it.
Regardless of the leadership at the center.
Regardless of the leadership at the center. Because, you see, when we say regardless, in civilized climb, being senior does not turn you into autocratic leader. If you are number one, it doesn't make number two lacking in rights. The essence of what we are fighting now is that we will have rubber stamp state ESCOs all over, because they will be afraid to refuse illegal instruction from the national, because they can dissolve them. Every position in a democracy is eminent in as much as regulations are adhered to. But a situation, that's where we are in those God forbid, bad dark days when we were having garrison commanders, when we were not able to do election among 36 governors, and somebody somewhere now say, no, that election, the loser is the winner. We can't continue this, and that's where I actually sympathize with our distinguished senator, former governor of Kaduna State, Senator McCarthy, that he has a rare opportunity to keep a date with destiny and drive our party from the disgraceful impunity and lawlessness that has been riding it in the past, so that we will be eminent politicians that follow due process and adhere to orders of court. And it's normally said, another is good or bad must be obeyed. And that's basically the problem.
All right. Now, as it is, the Southwest is one of the most, if we compare the regions in the country, the Southwest is very significant when it comes to political standings, as the case may be. The PDP in the Southwest, as it is right now, may not be in a very advantaged position, because most of the governors here, most of the APC dominates the Southwest as it is. But going forward, we know that the Southwest have very formidable leaders in the PDP. What are their roles? Whether they come from Ogun State, or they come from Ekiti State, or they come from wherever, what are their roles in trying to ensure that they bring up a very formidable, a new vista in the Southwest, especially in PDP?
You see, fundamentally, politics is about interplay of interests. And this issue of leaders being the face of the people is renewable. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we assume our people are robots and that they don't have a say in who ultimately becomes their leader. When we get used to certain people, from when we were in secondary school, it is assumed those people mandatorily must continue to be the leaders in those places. It's not happening. It's not correct. Our people are not unaware of the maladministration of the past. Our people are not unaware of the pilfering of the Commonwealth of State. So for you to think certain known leaders who had issues of probity in government are perpetually still our leader is putting question mark on our mental aptitude. And it is that juggling to ensure what is unrealistic in practice continue to obtain that makes all this lawlessness to happen. The normal procedure, like you renew the vehicle license of your car, is to renew leadership. That is the honor in being leader of people. But a situation where Abuja loads you on your people, the press think these are the kind of leaders that must be there, it's undemocratic, it's unfortunate, it's anti-progress of the society. That is what is happening. In the particular instance of the Southwest, there had been tremendous evolution of leadership and followership admiration. But unfortunately, until people, a lot of these governors, with due respect, former governors, they were nobody until we elected them. But it is after we elect them that they want to become perpetual tenants in the corridor of power. So until we have a level playing field, you will continue to see the same old faces that we are complaining of in bad leadership, in bad government, because people assume this state belongs to this person. How can a state belong to this person?
All right, can we say it's because of the elections, apart from the 2019 now, governorship elections in Osun and Ekiti, that this is happening majorly in the Southwest, that many personalities in the party want to show that it's a show of power, for them to say that, okay, I have the power to choose this person that will succeed me, or to choose this person that will go into the governorship offices in the two states?
First and foremost, let us agree, the idea that a public office holder has the right to choose a successor is a Nigerian madness, because it does not factor the electorate. If a governor says, I'm entitled to choose a successor, In what capacity? In what democratic capacity?
But that's what we've seen.
But that's the madness we have been used to. But a 1,000-mile journey starts with a step. We need to put it on the ground that a non-performing governor, an erratic governor, and an inefficient president cannot, as of democratic tenets, have right of a successor. Because what we desire in democracy is advancement of our well-being.
And power resides with the people. And
the power resides with the people. And in this context, you understand why we're having issues in the Southwest. Governor, we have now only one governor in the Southwest, Governor Fayose. He came from Labour Party after being disgraced out of office. He's now governor by the benevolence of God. If he were to be the people's choice in Ekiti, he doesn't need somebody in Abuja to hand over the structure of the party to him. If he were to be the choice of the people, he should be able to relate with those ESCO of PDP that elected him. But that's not what is happening. After managing to tolerate the ESCO that installed him as governor, he is now seeking to choose all of them, to change all of them, and put his own people there. That can't be democracy. The same thing happened in Ondo State. 2-3 weeks to the election, Governor Mimiko changed from a Labour Party into PDP because he said he loved Jonathan. Well, there's no problem loving Jonathan. But what happens to those PDP that you defeated to become governor? They cancelled all those people and put another Labour. It is a madness that is unending. Now, after the Supreme Court judgment, the delegates to the convention that supposedly created the National Caretaker Committee are now being dissolved all over the state, the country. Some people think maybe because McCarthy has presidential ambition, but even at that, he's entitled. He's entitled as a Nigerian citizen to become president, but he should not cut corners by doing Lacombe. You know, Lacombe, as when we were in the primary school, you know the result at the beginning of the arithmetic. He is now installing people who are amenable to him as a custodian of the party structures in the state.
Oh, all right, we don't have all the time, but let me ask you this before we go. What are the implications of this unending crisis in the party? You know that in 2018 is most likely going to be an election campaign, and so on. And then for 2019, what are the implications if all of these crises are not solved as at now?
Well, quite frankly, I think the implication is progress for the country if we can be persistent and insist on seeing the end of this issue. Because we have been running this country on exigencies. We don't face issues. We just agree to certain unreasonable conclusions and resolutions because it's convenient. For how long are we going to live on convenience? If we don't do all this, don't forget, Nigeria is not about APC, Nigeria is not about PDP. It is the responsibility of PDP to get his ass together if he wants to be involved in the contest for control of the government of Nigeria. It is not as if Nigeria is a creation of PDP. And that is an error our leaders are making. And we have repeatedly said it, no matter the economic adversity we are facing now, it does not erase the maladministration of the PDP government. So if we want to come back with the audacity that those maladministration of the past is minor to what is happening now, and the people as of right should thank us and say, let us come and continue our madness, it is not in the interest of Nigeria. So I hope we are going to see it from that angle, respect rule of law, respect the rights of party members. Let us cohabit as expected in democratic activities, rather than somebody now feeling for the exigency of 2019, let us allow them to do whatever. Look at in Ekiti State as we speak. The McCarthy Caretaker Committee, without logic, had handed over the party structure to Governor Fayose. it is assumed that amongst themselves, they will be decent to even have a consensus. But look at what Fayose has done. Adeyeye wants to be governor in Ekiti State. Fayose has refused, which in the first instance shouldn't have happened. They should have allowed the people to determine.
So with all this, really, the PDP, which has told Nigerians many times that forgive us for all our sins, we have repackaged ourselves, we are as white as snow, and then it's still behaving like this. Should Nigerians trust the PDP?
Yes.
Should they trust the candidates or the members of the party looking forward to 2019? Because so far, it's still pretty the same party to Nigerians. Yes,
the Nigerian people should trust PDP, but be vigilant. I am PDP, but I'm disadvantaged. I'm not in the driver's seat. The people at the driver's seat of PDP might be doing what is wrong. That is why we are challenging.
But can it be resolved before 2019? There are still the people that are cheating the minority within the party are in control.
That is why we are challenging the process and we are making it open and transparent. We expect the Nigerian public to be involved, to be interested. Because when you don't get interested, you lose the ball. Take, for instance, the most celebrated Supreme Court judgment that put in this caretaker committee there. The judgment in itself is a product of exigency. You know why? The beginning of the case was certain people fighting for their right. There was a national secretary that was fighting for his right. There was a national auditor that was fighting for his right. There were some 18 national executive members that were fighting for their tenure. So because of Sheriff, they said convention was okay, but the Supreme Court never said those people have no right to their tenure. But we now assume for exigency that the caretaker should be there. Because in the real interpretation of the thing, they are still a national working committee with unexpired tenure. Until we try to fight for our rights. Those we are even trying to placate will think they are right, like the National Working Committee is now, like the caretaker committee is doing now. The Supreme Court never said the National Secretary has expired. It never said the National Auditor has expired. But he only said a convention was properly constituted, but there are processes for relieving people of their positions. The Supreme Court never said those people were properly relieved of their position, but those people are quenched in the interest of the Party for Progress. But see another maladministration happening now. So we need to fight for rights and stop focusing on a predetermined destination that we might never get to.
All right, Prince Segun Seriki, PDP chieftain, thank you so much for giving us an idea here. Now, we have just about a minute to go, but I know that a lot of Nigerians who are not even within Nigeria are watching, and there are some people who are very undecided. They don't even know which party to support now, but they are watching. Like you said, everybody should watch. But if this kind of maladministration you're talking about, and the leaders who are supposed to do it rightly are not doing it rightly, and they carry the image of the party on their shoulders. Those people who are sitting and undecided, how would they make their choices and it becomes PDP? And because they're not even showing themselves to be viable opposition exactly. to the APC.
You see, we are making an error that politics, particularly the presidential system, is not a primary of opposition. It is here that we get our bearing wrong because of the jobless politicians who perpetually politic all year round. In presidential system, you see them in America, they are election period. Everybody become partisan and you go into the poll. After the election, you become nationalistic. You forget what you are. You now discuss, because people have biases, the liberals, the Democrats, the conservatives, you know, but most importantly, the country now becomes the issue. We are still in the era of Nigeria being the main issue. And that's why we need to strengthen our internet democracy, because internet democracy has been the bane of our democratic process. And you know what that implies? If we don't stand up now, in a few months' time, they will present to the Nigerian people some predetermined robots as candidates of PDP. And you will be forced to be choosing between viable alternatives. So this is the time to really politics is within the party. Whoever is interested now should be a participant. And every one of us outside the party should be talking about progress of Nigeria. People should talk about progress of this country, how to help this. And that's why when some people say they are in opposition, they are abusing government, our schedule is not to abuse government that has been properly put in place all year round. There are time for politicking. The timetable will come up. You saw the INEC querying the state governor that it shouldn't, because there are laws against it. But because we are basically lawless in style, we think just doing politics all year round will carry Nigeria to the destination. It won't carry us far. So the position we have now is for our people to be very vigilant and ensure that what comes out of party is their desired expectation. Okay. Otherwise, they will have the pain for the next 4 years.
All right. Thank you so much, Prince Segun Seriki, for coming on the program this morning. Thank you. Right.